picking up her 900th win at Florida over this past weekend out in Sacramento. Against this Stanford lineup for head coach Kevin Hambly. And we told you about some of the hitters. Talking about newcomers that you want to keep a close eye on, Cammie Minor, the setter, she is a real talent.
Exactly. She's very special. I know Kevin Hambly is very high on Cammie Minor, and she's won the job right off the bat here to start the season. Starting freshman setter, following in the footsteps of a lot of outstanding, great freshman setters at set for 4 years at Stanford.
Don, you know well, the lineage of setters at Stanford is a lengthy and successful one. And excited to see what Minor brings in her freshman campaign as we are set to get things going. Referees in this one, the up official Ryan McDowell, the down Kaylee Kimura. As we get started, Stanford in the whites, Florida in the orange and blue. Cardinal serving first, Gators right to work, and the block is there momentarily as now we'll get Stanford on the attack. Not enough there from Kip.
Florida in a little different starting rotation than I watched all 3 matches over the weekend, and that they never started in that rotation. So a little something special maybe for Stanford tonight.
And they go to their bench quickly as now a chance to serve. Here's Birdie Hendrickson, the sophomore. Not a very big Florida roster this year, just 13 players, not all active, and we'll get a violation here. So a couple of unforced errors to start.
A little bit of nerves maybe, but this thing, it should settle in here, and we might be in for quite a battle tonight.
And now serving for Stanford, McKenna Vicini, the redshirt sophomore, part of that big recruiting class now in their 3rd year on campus. Overpass here, easy put away, right in front, Holly Campbell.
Yeah, I think what Kevin Hambly's done with his first couple of matches this last weekend was he experimented with which middle blockers he would let set, and Vicini only served. Excuse me, I meant to say served, but Vicini only served a couple of times at the end of the last match and served pretty well. So I think she's earned a chance to go back there and serve before she subs out for the libero.
Meanwhile, Thayer Hall smashes that one through the block and in, and we're even at 2 early on. You hit on the nerves here, and yes, these teams have played some games, no knock on that competition, but this is the first high-octane matchup.
Yeah, this is the first big one.
And now the setter for Florida, Marley Monserrat to serve. Minor setting things up. Turned back. Well done in front. The big middle, Lauren Dooley.
Minor was there. She could have covered that ball. She thought it was going to go out and let it go. But any close ones, got to make sure you play, especially early in this kind of a match. You got to be aggressive.
Here's Monserrat, the senior from Florida. Back to Minor now. Goes behind her. The tip turned back. Luge will keep it alive. And that's good to go for Katie Baird.
One question I have for Katie Baird is, how will she fare on broken plays where the ball has to go high and the block knows she's getting it? And I'd like to see how she'll do tonight against a big block that knows she's getting the ball.
And a good response there. Florida ready for it, but Baird finds a seam. Gators back at it. Opposite side. Back row attack. The tip, that'll fall in. Nicely done. Tiara Caesar.
That was very nicely done. That's not an easy shot to hit that back. They call it's a back row quick. It's not really a pipe. In the past, it's always been called a pipe because it's more of a high ball. Now it's more of a back row quick. It's part of the offense. And that one, she did a really nice job finding the open spot.
Thayer Hall here to serve. Into the net. And now some changes for the Cardinal as Natalie Birdie, the junior, comes on, another part of that hitter group that didn't get a ton of time earlier on in their careers, but now is going to get a big chance as Baird to serve. Too long from Baird, and well done from McKissick to watch that one fly.
Good eye. That one didn't miss by much, but it was definitely it was floating out.
Told you all about the seniors. Ellie McKissick, a sophomore, one of the underclassmen that plays major minutes for this Florida team.
Good pass.
Minor down the line. That'll work.
any kind of production from number 16, Birdie, in this match is going to be a real positive for Stanford. She's kind of the lesser known of the outside hitters out here, and if she can give them a good night, that'll be a good for Stanford.
Here's Forte. Good dig out, and Stanford will keep at it. McKissick keeps it alive. Last touch, Florida, point to the Cardinal.
Nice transition for Stanford on that one. Great dig by Ogilvy. She was nice and solidly placed and just made a quick move. Nice dig.
Kevin Hambley raving about Elena Ogilvy just being in the right place at the right time. Isn't always flashy, but highly productive. Back to Forte. Again, Ogilvy gets a piece of that, can't keep it alive. And if you've seen a couple of plays of Lauren Forte, well, first, if you're a Pac-12 fan, you know that name, the former Cal Bear, transferring to Florida. She gets up, and that's an understatement. The elevation is serious.
The only person who can really stop Forte is Monserrat, is the setter. Because if she sets her high enough, it's tough.
Hall controls it from the back row. Here's McKissick now looking for Caesar. Minor across the way. The block is there. Gators keep it alive. Free ball as Hall gets it across. The tip. It's in.
Yeah, Hall had a chance to hit that ball in the rally. Well placed tip. Florida, I think, would like to have their off blocker, their off blocker that comes in behind the block and plays most of the tips. But when you can tip it down the line, that makes it awfully hard for her to get to it.
Good back and forth to start here. 7-6 Stanford. Florida back to work. Caesar up big and down hard.
Well, you can see Kendall Kipp kind of straightened up, thinking Forte was going to get the ball, and I think she's wasting her time on that. Even if she jumps, it may not be good enough. She better stick with her outside hitter out there on the other side.
Yeah, when you have Caesar and Forte in the air at the same time, that's a tough decision.
That's quite a combination.
And now Tiara Caesar, a transfer from Georgia.
Nice pass.
Minor goes quick. Florida ready. The middles shut that down.
Yeah, it looked like they were ready to go on that one. Minor didn't fool anybody. She had 3 blockers up.
And now an 8-7 edge for Florida here in the first. Off the tape and falls in. The ace is there for Caesar.
Lucky play. I've never been a big fan of the tape dribbler, but you can defend it a little bit better with 6 players. You know, when you've got a setter up there and a middle hitter, and you know somebody's at least in the area on the beach. That you should just get rid of that. There's no one there to defend that.
Minor to Kipp. Last touch, Gators. And you've hit on Kipp having that experience. How can that translate to the rest of the group here?
Well, she has confidence going up against the block. You know, she can move the ball around. She can overpower it. There's a lot of things she can do with it. But as she shows that she's not afraid to go after it, that helps the other hitters, you know, realize that, yeah, maybe I can do the same thing.
An all Pac-12 preseason pick, Kendall Kipp. Meanwhile, the service is long here from Alex Luge.
Just miss. As you watch from this end zone camera, you can kind of watch the blockers and get an idea for where they're kind of leaning and what direction they're looking to go when they're trying to decide which hitters are their priorities.
10-8 lead for Florida, 3-0 in the early goings of this season. Hendrickson serving. Here's Minor, back set Kipp. Long way for it, too long, and the point to the Cardinal.
If they give Kendall Kipp that much line the rest of the night, they're going to be in for a long night of her, just a barrage of Kendall Kipp hammering balls down the line. They will probably adjust and get out there and try to take that away and make her go cross court more often if they can.
Here's Selena Shu, the junior from nearby Belmont, California. A setter comes on to serve. Overpass, but at the net there's a meeting and the Gators take it.
Front row setter Marley Monserrat has the advantage. She knows it's going over. Holly Campbell was kind of straight up and down, but it's amazing how often the setter wins that joust, pretty much every time.
And on paper you wouldn't think so, but we saw it right there.
Yeah, she pushed a little harder and a little bit lower and a little bit later.
Baer tools the block. Cardinal back within 1 and 11-10.
Yeah, if they pass the ball well, that's going to leave openings for Baird out there. She's going to have gaps in the block. The line might be open. When the ball's not passed so well, then the block's going to be a lot tougher on her.
Tip to serve. Off the tape. Florida ready for it. Little work to the freshman. Beeson. Long run. Cardinal.
That's good.
They get it across, but Dooley cleans it up. Great hustle from Stanford, but it results in a kill for Lauren Dooley.
Yeah, they didn't end up with the positive ending, but boy, that was an unbelievable play. Cami Minor, she not only chased with that one, she stayed with the play and somehow managed to control that thing inside the antenna and over the net.
Yeah, to thread that needle to get it inside the antenna, impressive stuff.
Yeah.
Now the back set, cross court, good to go. For Holly Campbell, the senior missed the abbreviated 2020 postponed, played in 2021 season, however you want to refer to it, with injury, and due to COVID couldn't be around this team, and so super important to have her back in practice and now healthy and playing.
Yeah, couldn't even be with the team, at all. So no interaction.
Such a big change. Usually with injury, you can still be around your teammates, and
especially if you're a senior and you can at least provide something, to help the younger players get along.
And we'll get a violation here. And we'll go back to Florida. So 13-11 now. Gators spent the weekend out in Sacramento, wins over San Francisco, UC Davis, and Sacramento State before the quick trip onto the peninsula here to take on Stanford.
Wonder how the air quality was out there all weekend long.
Can't imagine it was great. Minor. A little off balance is Campbell, but gets it across. Overpass here. Cardinal can work with that. Minor goes right back. McKissick ready for it. Here's Caesar. Turned back on the block. Good rally developing.
Point scoring chance here for Stanford.
Minor now. Overpass. Great work by Beeson to keep it alive. Minor, center dump. McKissick's ready.
Was all over it.
Beeson again. Ogilvy's there. McKissick, another dig.
Out. She still went after it.
Now Caesar, the tip. And it falls in. A lengthy rally results in the point for Florida and Tiara Caesar.
That's a little bit of an indicator, I think, of what kind of night we're going to have here. Both teams scrambling.
You called it. McKissick goes after that ball, but maybe it does fall out of play. Tough to second guess in those rapid fire moments.
Like I said earlier, you play the close ones, especially in matches like this.
Back row. Controlled by Bevan, who's come on. Birdie, the soft shot. It'll fall in. Make it 14-12. Well, already these two are into a different match than they've experienced so far. They took control in their first sets in their matches over the weekend. Set up here, Beeson. Last touch, Stanford.
Nice high swing.
So Merritt Beeson, the freshman from Alabama, the latest kill. Florida up early in this one, 15-12.
It's 71.4%, and Florida is hitting a ridiculous, or sighting out at a ridiculous 84.6. So I know Kevin Hambley mentioned, and when we spoke to him earlier, that he's concerned with them stopping the other team, doing a better job with their block and defense. Even though they won 2 matches in sweeps over the weekend, they struggled stopping the other team as much as they would have liked to. So he's not off to a good start here, but again, the level of competition is pretty steep.
And both of these coaches talked about the value of playing a match like this. Of course, they'd love to win, but just what you learn about your team in a high-level match going forward, you really can't replicate it any other way. Back to live action now. Back row. And that's long.
That's a miss. Didn't catch any of the block either. It might have been a touch on the block, but well called by everyone, and there's no questioning by any of the players or coaches.
Cami Minor, the freshman from Redondo Beach, California, and the current Pac-12 Rookie of the Week after her strong efforts over the weekend. Looking for Forte. How do you stop that?
Well, like I said, if the set's high enough, her range is kind of ridiculous. You see her get up. She'll jump right out of the camera picture here, almost.
16-13 advantage for Florida. Caesar now to serve. Ogilvy controls that. Here's Minor for Kip. The block turns it back, and Stanford back to work. And this time the block is there. As Forte previously on the kill and now turning back the Cardinal attempt.
That second set was just a little bit too tight and wide. She just didn't quite get the location that she wanted on that one. Made it that much harder for Kip.
And we'll get a timeout called by Stanford. Trailing now 17-13, and around that point in the set where you have to be wary of it getting away from you, and Kevin Hambley looking to talk things over.
Well, when you're siding out and the other team's siding out at such a high rate, you know, you're not scoring very many points, and when you give up one or two, then suddenly, like, you know, Stanford's found themselves here with a 4-point deficit as we're getting into the latter stages of the set. So they're going to have to play some defense. You've got to maybe take some chances, and they might miss a few serves trying to serve a little tougher, but they've got to do something to get Florida out of their rhythm and slow down that side out percentage.
And this is a big building process for Stanford coming off of last year. Florida, we talked about it at the top, you couldn't have different years. Florida played this extended year. They played some fall volleyball, then they went into the spring, then they go deep in the NCAA tournament. And for some of those younger players, Mary Wise talking this week about just essential time to develop these athletes.
Right, and so you have Beeson, who graduated early. Now, even though she couldn't practice with the team in the spring, she was around them, and she was at probably at practice. I don't know exactly how they do that. So you have a freshman kind of acclimating themselves, to the surroundings, and then you also have Forte you bring in January, who's a grad transfer, and now suddenly she gets to play an extended spring season. It used to be if you got a transfer, they weren't eligible to participate in the spring competitions, which were a lot fewer. There were only 4 spring competitions that were allowed.
And transfer rules in general evolving even just a few years ago. With Caesar coming over from Georgia, she had to sit out a full years. This one is out of play, and the point to the Cardinal.
Yeah, that's one thing. I've been out of coaching long enough now where I have no idea what's going on with all the rules, and that's kind of one of the reasons I got out of it. It was getting to be too many rules to try to be concerned with.
We won't be giving you the NCAA test anytime soon, so don't worry.
So I don't miss taking that test.
Alex Luge now from Encinitas, California. On to serve here, the sophomore. That's an error into the net.
Again, though, she's trying a tough serve. If that thing dribbles over the net and they can score a point or get a cheap point, they would gladly take it.
18-14. Hendrickson back. Out of Rogersville, Missouri. Great high school career there. Here's Minor, goes quick, and that does the job, setting in McKenna Vicini.
When you're watching these top teams, it's kind of funny when I hear somebody say had quite a high school career. It's like they all have quite a high school career. These are some outstanding high school players, and moving on to the next level.
That's a fair point. You wouldn't be in this match if you didn't actually have an awesome high school career. Setter dump. Luge ready for it.
They didn't get a swing out of it, though, unfortunately.
Now they'll work to Hall.
That got a piece of the block, I believe.
Finds a home.
A little bit of an inside, they used to call that a rip set. I'm not sure what they're calling it these days, but Hall came in inside instead of just hitting it out near the antenna. Came into the gap between the middle and right side blockers. That's kind of a free ball play that a lot of teams use.
Marley Monserrat to serve. Minor now goes outside. McKissick digs that out. Here's back row from Caesar. Block. Cardinal showing up in force.
Well-executed defense by Florida. They got 2 blockers up, and McKissick made a great dig. And here you have 3 blockers. They're expecting that back row attack in the rallies, so it's not like the Stanford blockers were fooled at all.
Kip out of Newport Beach, California. Hambley talking about her need just to stay healthy and play more volleyball. Beeson is denied off the head of Dooley.
That's got to come over. That'll be 4 hits.
Too many.
Great rip by Beeson on the left side. And she's an opposite, but she played primarily left side and outside hitter in high school. So she can make that. This rotation one can be a real problem for a lot of teams because they have their opposite, who's used to hitting right side, over on the left front for this one rotation. I don't think that's going to be a problem for her.
Tough to handle for Caesar on the back row.
It'll be the test, being able to do something with that.
Beeson just gets it across. Beautifully done. Cross court and a laser from Katie Baird.
Well, Dooley, the middle blocker, got caught leaning towards Kip, which is probably, that's her priority. That's her assignment. And here you have Baird one-on-one. And when you can get her one-on-one, she's lights out.
Cardinal 3-0 run. That prompts a timeout called by Florida. Looked like they were cruising here in the first, and Stanford battling back now. 1 point difference, 19-18.
Although weaknesses being exposed isn't necessarily a result of a scouting report. They're not prepared that well for each other because they haven't gotten to see very much. Stanford actually has probably seen more video of Florida from their previous season. Anything you've watched from Stanford from this last spring is just kind of a mess. It's not even worth looking at, except for maybe some individual player things. But still, they'll make adjustments out here, and not only the coaches will, but the players will as they go too.
19-18 Florida. Stanford on a 3-0 run, looking for more with Kip. And into the net. Give it back to the Gators now, 20-18.
Got to work hard at getting that dribbler to hit over the other side. But right now they've got to serve tough, and they've got to clear the net and make Florida handle the ball. They can't just hit one in the net.
Here's Hall. Now Minor. Back row. That's way long from Kendall Kip.
Pretty good serve from Hall. Nice pass by Luget, and it's unfortunate that Kip just mistimed it and caught that one off of her wrist.
There, Hall, all SEC preseason pick. Quite a few of those on this Florida roster.
Another good pass by Luget.
There's Minor. Caesar now. Got a piece of that block across the way. Well done.
Got a touch on the block. Stanford fortunate to get a second chance. McKissick dug that slide by Campbell, and if you're going to get a second chance, you better capitalize.
Katie Baird does.
Nice line shot.
4 kills now for Baird in this first. Caesar fights that off, and now she'll get a chance and hammers it down.
Well, the pace on that set was so quick that Campbell couldn't get there to join Minor on that block. You see Minor getting out there and getting ready to go, but that ball's got a huge gap to hit through.
Campbell coming over to try and help close that block, but Caesar already up high and down. McKissick now. McKissick gets a piece of it. Hall will keep it alive. A near overpass, but Caesar can't do much with that on the third.
McKissick, I've noticed, really comes in off the sideline into the middle of the court. She digs a lot of balls above her head that could be dug around her waist if she stayed on the sideline a little bit longer. There it is.
Off the tape, and it falls in. Forte has to watch that one go.
The third opportunity. I guess they're trying for the tape serve, so they finally got one.
Brings it back to 22-21.
That's the part of the ball. You got to have the bottom part of the ball hit the tape.
Ogilvy working for Forte. Off balance, pulling that one from behind her head. Now working for Caesar. Into the block and down, and we're all even up at 22. Cardinal not done just yet.
Well, two things Stanford's got to do. They've got to come up with balls when Forte hits, and they did. And they also have to block balls when it's going to be a high outside ball to somebody like Caesar.
Working outside. Beeson. The threat of Forte in the middle, but instead they go outside, and the freshman Merritt Beeson connects.
Well, as soon as that pass gets up there inside the 10-foot line and Forte becomes a factor, then that really does open up those outside hitters. And we haven't really had too many balls go to Beeson on good pass situations, and she's very effective over there.
Decent kill ends another 3-0 run for Stanford, now serving as Florida trying to wrap this one up. Dug out by McKissick at the net, a fight for it. Back to Birdie. Back row Hall, that's long.
That was like Kip's earlier. I just mistimed it a little bit and launched it. You get under the ball a little bit on those full swings, it doesn't look very good. Gotta look out in those bleachers in the end of the court.
Even up at 23, Cami Minor now.
Front row setter here, Monserrat, be awake.
Monserrat, Forte.
Snuck it in. That's what happens with a player who hits from such a high point. As a blocker, you tend to reach way up in the air and you open up that lower part where if she hits a sharp ball right over the top of the net, she's going to get away with it.
Excellent back and forth, but now a chance for Florida to close out the first. 24-23, our first set point. Caesar. Here's Minor to Kip. Monserrat setting it up, back row attack, Caesar. Ogilvy's there. Birdie now.
Couldn't get enough on it.
Working to Hall. Turn back. We'll play a little longer.
Some pretty good volleyball being played here. This is pretty high level for, we're not even in September. Is it September yet? No,
not
it's
just
not.
Yet, August 31st. All even at 24 in the first. So we'll keep things here, 25-24, Stanford leading Florida, and they've taken some of that momentum back now, Don. A chance here on the set point upcoming.
Well, they're going to need a good, strong serve. You know, obviously you don't want to miss this one after the timeout, but Florida's in rotation 5, which means the setter's in the middle front. So they've got Forte as a possibility. They also have the back row attack, and they've got actually 2 back row attackers. They've got Beeson and I believe it's Hall. In rotation 5. Let me double check my thing. No, it's Caesar in the back row. So your front row players are Forte, number 24, and Hall, number 20, with a setter, a very aggressive setter up there. If the ball gets anywhere near the net, she can put it anywhere on the court that she wants. And then you've also got Caesar and Beeson available out of the back row. So even though Stanford's got the advantage, 3 blockers on supposedly 2 hitters, you're actually trying to defend 5 different players over here on the Florida side of the net.
That is the versatility of this Gators squad. Well, last year they played in front of cardboard cutouts. Now they've got actual human fans in the stands, and they're on their feet for set point number 1 for the Cardinal here as we work our way towards the end of the first. 25-24 Stanford. They've battled back a couple of 3-0 runs late in this first set to eat up that Florida lead.
Very curious to see how Stanford blocks this play, where they put their blockers and who they commit to.
Here's Luget to serve.
Good serve. Great
McKissick
serve.
lets it go, and Stanford takes the first.
Boy, all that explaining I did about 5 different hitters, and all it took was 1 serve to take care of business.
Sometimes it's just that simple. Superb back and forth. It's what you'd expect. Stanford rallies back to take the first.
If a late middle blocker or their outside blocker doesn't get out there in time, then she's dangerous. She can really hammer the ball, and she can hit both line, seam, and cross court. That's where she can be really effective. So when she's going good, that's usually a result of the rest of that team is handling the ball well.
What's the excitement like for a coaching staff when they know how good some of their players are, but maybe the rest of the country hasn't seen it yet?
I just think that you just keep working to get better every day.
Yeah.
And you know, the coaches know there is some potential there, but the word potential can be a very dangerous word. It's just a matter of working hard to get better each day.
On to the second now, here inside Maples. And Tiara Caesar will get us started for the Florida Gators, the redshirt senior out of Panama City, Florida. Here's Minor now, setting to Baird, and picks up where she left off.
She gets 1 blocker, and she also gets McKissick sucking into the middle of the court and leaving that cross court open. So, you know, that's one of the advantages of, you know, having a good pass and getting Baird out there one-on-one.
Limited play last year, but Baird All-American honorable mention, all Pac-12 selection. As McKenna Vicini is on to serve. A near ace, good recovery by Caesar, now Hall. Dug out by Luge. Back to Baird, overpass as Caesar was eaten up by that one.
Baird hits a heavy ball. You know, her arm swing may not look lightning fast, but that ball's coming and it's got some heat on it.
Good start for Baird. And a good start for the Cardinal in front 2-0. Closed out the first with a 3-0 run. But a couple of those together to battle back after it looked as if Florida was in control. Hambly called a timeout about midway through that first set. And Cardinal able to change the tide, return the tide rather. Still some perspiration on the court here. Tiara Caesar getting the job done. She knew exactly where it needed to be.
Yeah, sometimes it takes too long just to direct traffic there to try to get the person who's wiping up the floor to get the right area.
To Hall. Off the block. Cardinal regroup, back set to Kip. Wave it off into the net.
Ball got a piece of the antenna on the way by. They're still giving her line, but McKissick's dug in right there. I think the next move for Kip on the right side is to, if she gets the line open, to tip line, just to loosen the things up there with McKissick.
First point here in the second for Florida. And Hendricks in now. Error into the net, make it 3-1 Cardinal. That's Kip. Has battled some injuries during her career, working to stay healthy. Across the way to Beeson, who just pushes that across.
Yeah, she could have hit that. She could have taken off behind the 10-foot line and still gotten it.
Off the block. Good for Holly Campbell.
And that may be a little taste of the freshman, Beeson, a little bit tentative. You know, she didn't just take off from behind the line and take a rip at that set. And then she also didn't go for the tip. You know, kind of didn't make the effort there. Not necessarily not making the effort, but just tentative. I'll take that one.
Miss hit right over Don's head. And a great start for Stanford. 5-1. Kendall Kip with the service ace. And you hit on Merritt Beeson, and we have obviously some really talented seniors, some really strong freshmen. We'll come back to that in a moment because we're going to take a quick timeout here early in this second one. Good start for Stanford, 5-1.
A little tougher to be that way. She's been around the team a little bit more than most freshmen who would be normally just coming in preseason, and really not know what the heck's going on out there. But she's been around a little bit longer. But it isn't easy.
Well, Katie Baird continues to show out here in the second. Her latest kill.
See, Miner flicks it out there, pretty good pace. It really didn't go very high in the air. That ball had some pace on it that helps open Baird up.
6-1 Stanford here in the second. 8 kills for Baird. Miner 16 assists. Beeson, back row with heat. Tiara Caesar.
You can see the firepower that the Gators have between. There's not one person out there that doesn't bomb it. Now they're bringing in Bree Kelly in the middle here as a little change of pace.
I asked Mary Wise this week, when Florida volleyball is going exactly as you dream it would, what happens? And she says, well, we have some arms, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So one heading our way. Off the block, the point to the Cardinal.
Good swing off the middle blocker who just recently entered the game. Middles can get caught reaching out towards the hitter sometimes, and they end up not being able to penetrate the net very well, and that's what happens if you take it off that inside hand.
So 7-2 Stanford, but Wise talking about the arms, the size of this team. She felt like it could give people some problems, and then their defense and their middles at the net.
A lot of athletic young ladies out there.
Hot start for Stanford in the second. 7-2 there in front. Thanks in large part to Katie Baird now serving. And with that, the jinx, she goes long and gives a point back. So a service error for Baird. Hasn't made many mistakes tonight. Now a 7-3 advantage, but the serve back to Florida. Here's Minor, back set. Controlled by the Gators. Back row, Hall. Off the block. Good recovery by the Cardinal setter. Dump Minor. Controlled. Florida's got to get it across. Beeson does. Good dig again. Setter dump. Minor goes back to the well. Not there. McKissick now outside. Off the block from Stanford. Out to Birdie. Through that block, we keep it going. Here's Caesar. The rally develops. Birdie. McKissick with the dig. Back row, Hall. Now Minor. Back row attack. And a violation at the net. Stanford will take it.
Wow, pretty good rally. The fortunate thing for Stanford was the first person to handle the ball most of the time during that rally for Florida was Montserrat. And so when you take the setter out of the play, you're going to limit somewhat what the other team's going to be able to do. Now there's a net violation by Kelly.
Freshman Bree Kelly coming on here in the second, just into the net. Now to Caesar, a little bit of a roll shot. Returned to her. Beeson takes a hack at it. And now Birdie down the line.
Snuck one there. Boy, there wasn't much space for that one, but it made it.
9-3 Stanford. And Florida getting into that bench. Sophia Victoria, the sophomore from Puerto Rico, has come on. Elena Ogilvy to serve.
We also have Dooley back in there for Kelly.
And Beeson into the net. They gave a look like it might come middle to Dooley. Instead, they go Merritt Beeson. Excuse me, point there for Beeson. 9-4.
Yeah, I must have missed something. There must have been a net violation there that I missed because Beeson hit that thing into the middle of the net.
That's what I thought I saw as well.
Yeah. I didn't see the call. I guess we should pay closer attention.
Cardinal will take the point there, however, 10-4.
All right, now you've got Forte and Victoria, the new outside hitter, but Beeson still in front row on the right side.
McKissick controlling, and now they'll work to Victoria. Into the net.
That is not the ideal ball to hit for your first swing in the match. To come in off the bench and have to hit a high ball coming from off net and way over on the other side of the court.
Victoria, part of the Puerto Rico national team, the 18U squad, and the 20U team as well. Speaking of national teamers, Minor in the Team USA system. Florida will have to get this across. McKissick does. And now Minor goes outside. Good dig by Montserrat, but trouble here.
Again, you make the setter handle that first ball, and then it's a question of how does the team handle the next ball? And that one went to a middle blocker who probably is not used to setting too many balls. And she didn't do a very good job in that situation. Hopefully she'll do it better the next time.
Minor. And Stanford up 12-4. Overpass, but long. That was set up for Kip and just got underneath it.
Well, if the ball is, if you have to reach back to hit it, then you probably shouldn't be hitting it. You should probably be backing off and passing that one. If it's in front of you, that's one thing. But if you have to reach back to swing, probably not a good idea.
And now Beeson serving. I have to imagine you see that ball, your eyes get big, you go after it.
Oh, yeah.
The tip from Kip. Now a little more heat on it and can't be handled by McKissick.
That one was directly above her, so she got a little bit better reach and snap on that one. But the tip is what set it up. You made the right sider come in off the play. She didn't quite control the ball well enough. Right now, Stanford's winning the ball control battle here between the two teams.
When you're 6'5" like Kip, you have to think, what can't I get to sometimes above the net? But to your point, the tip sets up the hard shot.
Right.
Working to Forte. And Ogilvy couldn't control it. And we've seen just a little bit of that, going quick to Forte in the middle when it's set up nicely. And you've talked about the high set. She's been really tough to guard.
Right. She, even from off the net like that one, she set the ball from well off the net. But if she sets it high enough, Forte just got that range. I think Ogilvy wishes she had that one back. She was there. We're not going to see a whole lot of emotion out of her over there, though. It's pretty much business as usual. Goes about her job quietly.
Caesar serving to Kip.
That one's
off
huge.
The block.
Hall tried to get out there a little further that time to take away a little bit more line, but she was late getting there.
So how about the start here for Stanford? 14-6, nothing like what we saw in the first. And I know Florida getting into their bench a bit, but setter dump. Monserrat, that's read by Stanford. Now back to Kip.
Nice high hit by Kip on that one.
Florida benefits an overpass there, and it ends up falling their way.
2 blockers up on Kendall Kip, and she went right over the top of the 2 of them, but it's a nice dig down in the backcourt there by Florida. Stanford's tuned in to Monserrat and her offensive abilities.
Hendricks on now, and chance here for both coaches also to experiment with some of their lineups. This is non-conference action. Long reach there for Baird, goes and gets it, but we'll get a violation.
They're creating problems tipping into that spot. They've got the off blocker coming across behind the block, and then the line digger coming up as well. So you're taking 2 players out of the transition, even if they get the ball. But the ball handling for Florida has just not been good enough in this set.
15-7. Katie Baird, 11 kills. Natalie Birdie, 6. Kendall Kip, 4. Your leaders for Stanford. Off the tape, McKissick down. Looking outside. Hall. Kip was there, couldn't come up with it, and the kill for Thayer Hall.
Nice swing by Hall. For all intents and purposes, it looked like she was going seam or cross court, and then she turned that ball across her body and got Miner to reach into the seam and then hit it right by her.
Just the 3rd kill for Hall, now into the positive in her hitting percentage, and someone that they have big expectations out of this season. Miner, back row, Kip.
And that's the one rotation that Stanford uses Kip out of the back row. Now she'll sub out unless they decide to keep her in, but no, they're going to sub her out for Bevan right now. But after Kip serves, she'll stay in one rotation and get her, and they'll very likely use her. That's something the other team should start picking up on. They're going to leave her in there for that one rotation. You might want to keep an eye on her.
Excellent look there on the replay. Kip elevating and smashing that one down. Long set to Beeson, roll shot turned back. We'll try it again. A little more heat on this one. Ogilvy digs it out. Miner now, the set across the way. Monserrat fights that one off. And Long on the attempt from Beeson.
Beeson tried the off-speed shot first. Didn't get
to 8. Now it's early, Don. You can toss the rankings out here. 20th ranked Stanford, number 5 Florida. We know they're 2 of the best in the country. Stanford could end up being much better than 20, but doing the job here in the second.
Well, yeah, the rankings, you know, they're preseason rankings, and what are they based on? Of all years, what are you going to base rankings on after what happened this last year? So, I think what you've got to do is wait a month and then come out with a ranking, and let everybody play a little bit. So anyway, whatever those expectations may be, I think Stanford, if you're looking at it from right this very moment, I think they're pretty happy with the way they're playing. Florida, I know, feels like they can play a lot better.
Cardinal played just 10 matches last year, all Pac-12. They have 12 matches canceled due to various COVID protocols, at times a limited roster. It was a difficult season, to put it mildly, but happy times are here again. The kill for the Cardinal.
Well, Florida just has not passed the ball. The balls are being set from well behind the 10-foot line. That's a tough swing to take. Ball coming over your head against a big block.
That's into the net. Blockers were ready. Out of the middle, Beeson, the tip. Cardinal keep it alive. Great hustle. Full work to Dooley. And that's off the Cardinal block and score for Florida. That halts a 3-0 Stanford run as number 99, the senior Lauren Dooley out of Plano, Texas, gets the kill.
If you're Stanford's coach Hambly, you're happy that you're making Florida earn their side outs and they're not getting them on out serves and mistakes. That was a tough serve.
Well done.
From where I sat, it almost looked like it went outside the antenna and then ended up back in 3 feet inside, but it obviously went inside the antenna.
The curveball there.
Yeah, that one had some heat on it.
Make it 18-10.
Baird came right back with it, though.
Minor, the center dump. Florida ready. Now Minor back set. Into the block. And Dooley and Caesar. And so we saw Stanford make the big run in the first, and now Florida starting to string something together here in the second.
We've gotten a couple. They're working on that connection. Minor and Campbell have not spent that much time together up until this point, and they're still working at it. I was in their practice last night, and that was something that they were really focusing on.
What a setup to Dooley on the near overpass. Now back to Birdie. Overpass again. Birdie fights that one across the way. We'll look for Caesar. Goes long, but in.
That might have been out, but I think Baird touched it back there.
And Mary Wise first off the bench to cheer on her squad with a timeout called by Stanford. A 4-0 run for the Gators. And they claw their way back now 18-12. And doing the job up front, one of the veterans on this team, Lauren Dooley, joining forces with another senior, Tiara Caesar.
Yeah, you've got to get production out of your middle, so Dooley needs to get a little bit more work. They've set Forte, well, but haven't been able to set her much. With their passing has gone south. But if they can get the ball anywhere near the net, then they get their middles involved, and that'll then, Caesar and Hall will. We may have LSU and Tennessee kind of in the conversation, but Florida has always been there. Tennessee had a little spell where they were pretty good for a while. Arkansas and some of these teams. But Kentucky, Craig Skinner does a great job with that program.
Out of the timeout, Caesar. It's off the block, controlled by Taylor Bevan, who's back on. Now back row, down the line. That works.
Good choice by Minor. They got a tip block, so they had a chance to control the ball and really convert with their transition. And, the little used Bick there, the pipe attack, whatever you want to call it, they've got to incorporate that more into their offense and not just rely on the left side.
There's pinpoint accuracy there from Stanford. Watch out here, Caesar. Ogilvie handles from the back row. Cardinal can go to work. Right-handed tip to put that across. And now to Birdie. Off the block, good to go.
Boy, I don't know how she did that one. They kind of sliced and diced that one. But they still make Vegematics, slicing and dicing.
I could sense you were going into infomercial mode here.
She did it. She really kind of just worked one down there somehow.
Birdie now 7 kills. How about Katie Baird? 12 kills, hitting .733.
She's, again, one of the keys we had our opening tonight. She's a key player, and if she has a good night, then Stanford will most likely have a good night.
Ogilvie, the sophomore from Hawaii. Looking outside, Beeson. Minor to the ground to control that.
Had to be in the net.
Yep, that's still shaking.
Guess that was Beeson after she got done. Followed through into the net. Thought that might have been the block. We'll get a good look at it here. Oh yeah, she's got the set was a little tight and she just couldn't avoid it. Good up by Minor coming off the net. How that off blocker reads the tip is really key. They've got to be able to see what's coming and get it over there.
That's set a little bit sideways. Back row. Into the scoreboard. That's live here.
As long as it stays on the same side. And there you go, one-on-one.
McKissick, the dig. Caesar loads it up. The block is there. Out of play, and the point to the Gators.
That's one of those great transition swings where the hitter gets it set from the backcourt. It's way off the net. She was about the 3-meter line there, and she took a nice high, hard swing and got it off the block and out. When you're not passing very well, you better have that one in your arsenal.
Ellie McKissick, all SEC freshman team a year ago. Back set here from Minor. And just as you illustrated, it's in play. If it's on the scoreboard, it's on your side. That wasn't the case this time around. It touched nearly the S here in the scoreboard, but on the wrong side of the net.
I'd like to thank the participants for helping me demonstrate that, that rule.
22-13 Stanford. Closing in on going in front 2-0, but Caesar has other ideas, rips it down the line.
It's interesting that on that block, Kip made a call to Vicini, the middle blocker. She said inside, so she was telling her, don't come all the way, you'll crash into me. And I think Caesar heard that as well and took it down the line.
Excellent adjustment in the moment. The 8th kill for Caesar, but then Beeson into the net. And some growing pains here for the freshman in this one.
Statistically, not having a great match to this point. You never know. She can snap out of it. She looks like the type of athlete that certainly could. Now they're going to go back row sub for her. So they've lost one hitter, but they're not really using her much on the backside in the D set out of the back row. So it's really hopefully an improvement for Florida.
Yeah, she'll be ball back control before long. High school All-American. Here's Caesar. Hammers that off Ogilvy and out of play. The point to Florida. So Stanford closing in, but Florida trying to keep pace here at 23-15.
Yeah, Ogilvy is on that sideline, and fortunately she had to reach to her left to dig that ball. And when it's coming that fast, it's hard to keep that ball on your side of the net.
Here's Caesar.
Boy, she went for it.
She did.
I was going to say they can't afford to lose, to miss too many serves at this point with Stanford at 23, but she took a ride.
Down big, tried to go for it off the mark, and now set point here in the second on their feet once again in Maples. McKissick shanked that one a bit. Hall, the kill is there.
Great swing. And she benefited from not having the libero in there. Ogilvy, the middle blocker, Vicini had served.
And with that, Ogilvy returns. Hendrickson trying to keep Florida alive in this one. Set point number 2 for the Cardinal. In front 24-16, looking to go in front 2-0. Here's Minor. Into the block. A fight for it. And another point for Florida as Minor couldn't get that one either across or back to her teammates. Make it 24-17.
Stanford with plenty of breathing room here, but they just don't want to give up momentum. The thing they do have going for them, though, is they've got a 5-minute break instead of a 3-minute break between games, so they can regroup here even if they do give up a few points.
Minor works to Baird. Cross court, but long. Tried to find the line. Instead, the point to Florida. As you said, still a big cushion here, 24-18, as they try and close out the second. Set point number 4.
Baird tried to avoid the block on that one, I think, instead of just attacking it.
Minor, back set. Count it for Kip. And that's how the second ends. Stanford, upset-minded Cardinal squad. They take the second 25-18. And Florida was never really in this one. A strong third set on the way here inside Maples. Stanford in front 2-0, and Don, the Gators, making a little adjustment on their rotation.
Yeah, they've switched to rotation 1 to receive in here, which they were in 5 the previous 2 sets, and I think they want Beeson Caesar in the front row a little earlier, and she's hitting a little higher percentage than Hall is.
And a great start.
That's probably a main thing, and then just to get some different matchups to give to Stanford a different look.
Dooley mashes that one in close for a 1-0 advantage. Don Shaw, Greg Meskel here with you on campus at Stanford. Number 5, Florida. Number 20, Stanford. High and last touch. Caesar.
Boy, that was really well done by Vicini, trying to find a spot there. She had Dooley right there in front of her, and was able to just slice it away from her body.
Well, almost like a punt returner waiting for that ball to come down and figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, Minor did a nice job adjusting to where that ball was coming down.
Here's Dooley. 2 big kills early for Lauren Dooley. Known for her defense, but dropping the hammer here early on.
Well, they need to get her involved. And again, this is part of where flipping 2 rotations can help. She's matched up maybe against Campbell, whereas before she wasn't.
Led the team last year with 120 blocks, but doing it offensively right now here in the third. Baird. Back set to Beeson. Nicely done, Merritt Beeson, and a good confidence builder there.
Well, it's a good crisp transition for Florida. They got a nice dig. It was in position, and got a great spot for the setter to set the ball from, so she had all of her options. And that's where they need to get Beeson open, is give her some swings in situations like that.
The block is there. Forte up big.
Well, one thing you can guarantee is Florida's going to be looking to slow down Baird, and because she's just the one that's on fire. So their blockers are going to be paying close attention to where she's going.
And a hot start for the Gators, 4-1 here in the third.
And they're going to serve her as well.
Wow. And a collision there as Baird and Luge get tangled up, collide, and the ball goes into the bench.
On a seam ball between Baird and Luge, if I was Baird, I would say you got that seam to Luge, because Baird doesn't need the burden of passing as well as having to hit outside.
And again, the target Baird. This time handled. Through the block, but Gators back at it. Forte up high. Ogilvy, the tip. And it'll go Florida's way.
The Minor made a good set. She got the back set to Kendall Kipp, and Kipp only had one-on-one out there, so that's where Stanford needed to win that rally right away.
Well, after Stanford charged out of the gates in the second, Florida doing exactly the same here in the third. A great beginning for the Gators. Tie that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a person that wasn't giving you much production in the first 2 sets. They were relying on everyone else, so she starts contributing. That gets everybody else fired up.
Minor back set to Kipp. Good to go.
That's what Kipp's got to do. When she gets that back set, they ran the middle hitter away from Kipp to try to open up a gap there, and that's exactly what happened on the previous play. But on that one, she took advantage. You get one-on-one out there, and you're a terminal hitter, you need to put the ball away.
Now 6-2, and Kipp will serve. Overpass here, easy smash and close for Holly Campbell.
Stanford doing a good job serving Florida. Florida's been struggling with their service reception. That one's right there. I used to say, don't feed the animals to my passers. You don't want to lay it up there like that for those blockers.
And then a service error from Kipp. And talked previously about those overpasses and being right in front, but in that case for Campbell, it was right within her range.
Right, and the offense is set. They're set up to approach. They're not at the net with her. So when you pass it up to her like that, there's nobody in position to block.
Beeson serving. Minor now working to Baird off the block, and Stanford will take it.
Well, you've got Forte and you've got Monserrat. And I'm not saying anything about Monserrat's technique, but the size factor there, I think you go after the right side blocker there instead of the middle blocker. If you get a net cam on Forte when she's out there in time, it's interesting to see how far over the net she can penetrate.
Here's Forte, just goes tip on that set from Monserrat. And Minor comes through. Oh, Hambly told us, yeah, she's a setter, but she's a college hitter, too.
She's got a good arm, and Ogilvy did not hesitate to give her a nice set. Nice bump set, give her some room, and she just finds the seam in the block.
Seven to 5. Stanford working their way back. Outside Caesar. High heat.
Forte drew a lot of attention on that one, and that pass got into the Monserrat to set it. You can see the blockers. You watch the blockers here leaning towards Forte, and then suddenly they're out of position, and that's not a good thing against Caesar.
And we saw that a bit in the first, but Caesar and Forte, they elevate so well. When those two are up, it really makes the decisions hard for those blockers. Speaking of which, Back to Campbell. A blocker, but now connecting on the kill.
Campbell just seems so gangly out there as she runs that slide. You know, it's like all these pieces are flying in different directions, and so for Miner to start making connections with her, that's going to be a really good thing for Stanford's offense.
Here's Hall. Now Miner works to Birdie. Natalie Birdie. And Stanford within one at 8-7.
Nice job by Miner moving Forte. Forte just paying way too much attention to Miner there. You can see she's totally out of that play. That's a good matchup for Stanford to set her against Birdie there.
That's more of what the Cardinal staff wants to see. Birdie putting balls in bounds. Off the block, Ogilvy. Birdie will get it across. McKissick diving, sees her. McKissick calls off her teammates, but running out of room and couldn't get that one across, and frustration for the Gators.
Well, McKissick is flying around out there. I'm sure she reminds a lot of these Stanford fans of Morgan Hintz. Ogilvy is a little bit more of a just, you know, get it done, no excitement, and there's okay. She's going to be a great player.
That's what Mary Wise said about McKissick. If it's anywhere near her, we have a chance.
Yeah.
Caesar.
Nice dig.
A blast there. Miner center dump. That works. 9-8. Cardinal pull in front here in the third.
I was blocked out by the ref. I'll get to see who dug that ball. That was Baird. Nice overhand dig, because there was a touch on the block, so she had to handle that thing with her hands above her head.
And Florida calls for time as they've watched the Cardinal go on a 3-0 run, make it a 4-0 run to pull in front 9-8. And this is what Stanford does. They load up the schedule. They want challenging opponents. Florida does it too. All the best teams often look to take on some of the best around the country. And look at this non-conference slate. This is after tonight. Texas in Austin. They've got the defending champs. We'll see Nebraska here in a couple of weeks. It is a heavy load early on.
It's really ridiculous. I mean, it's like it's one thing to have a returning group of veterans, you know, a very successful team, and you're just kind of going out there and making sure you're playing as good a schedule as you can to get yourself ready for conference. That's not the case with this group of Stanford players. They're going to be tested. You know, they're thrown into the fire right away, and you know, if they could come up with a 3-3 on these 6 matches, that a lot of people would say that's not going to happen. They can't do that. Well, in this case, you know, they're off to a good start so far, but they've got a gauntlet to try to work their way through. And then, you know, hopefully their record will be safe enough so that they can go into conference play and not have to be, you know, in jeopardy of not being able to qualify for the NCAA tournament if you don't have a 500 record. So that's the chance that Kevin Hambly's taking right now, is you know, going out and playing this type of schedule and surviving it. You know, hopefully they stay healthy. They're going to bring in some more players, you know, that are out with injury and illness right now. That's the thing. You know, they're going to get stronger as long as they don't suffer any more injuries or illnesses.
Yeah, the likes of freshman Sammy Francis from San Diego, California, the 6'6" opposite, they are very high on her when she returns from illness, and that'll be a big addition.
Right. That'll give them really nice depth at the outside hitter. If Birdie and Baird, you know, continue to improve, and you bring in another player of that caliber. I've spoken with some of my cohorts from the San Diego area where she's from, and they all speak very highly of Sammy Francis.
Forte ties things back up 9-9, and just another note on that schedule. Keep in mind 3 of those matches in the middle there right here on the Pac-12 network, so a great chance to see some of the best teams in the country take on this Stanford squad.
I'd like to see the jump touch numbers on that last swing by Forte.
All even at 9 here in the third. Birdie is turned back. Excellent dig by Bevan going down. Overpass and nobody home, as it's an easy put away from Monserrat.
Well, you could see it in that camera angle that the blockers were leaning towards Birdie the whole time. As soon as that pass was off the net for Stanford, then she's the primary hitter. You may see Baird out of the back row here, or maybe a dump from Miner.
Miner goes back set instead. Dug out by Hedringson, and then Caesar goes long.
No touch.
Gators checked for the touch, not the case. And we're even at 10 as Minor will serve.
Stanford's getting a connection on that slide play with Minor and the two middle hitters, but the hitters are not getting enough heat on the ball. They're getting dug a little bit more easily than they should be.
That's Hall. Cardinal with birdie. Goes tip. They'll regroup. And again, Stanford ready. Minor goes back to Kip, tools the block.
Squeezes it through.
11-10 Cardinal.
Tough for Hall to do anything with that.
And another assist for Cami Minor. Now 33 for the freshman setter. Working to Hall. Cross court and a laser.
Just enough of a gap. Just enough, excuse me, Greg. Just enough of a gap to get that thing through.
And that's more of what Florida would like to see from Thayer Hall. Mary Wise talked about how Hall has battled injuries. Really, last spring was when she was fully healthy, playing at her best, full command of her powers. They want to see more of that if they can. And there's an ace for Marley Monserrat to put Florida back in front by 1.
A rare ace tonight's match. Haven't been that many.
That was just the 4th for Florida. Overpass. Minor able to control it, and we'll get a violation here.
No argument for Minor. I guess she touched it. I wasn't sure whether she actually touched it the first time.
Second look here at the net.
Yeah,
and you do see
she got a little piece of it.
Minor goes outside. Caesar fights it off. Another kill. Thayer Hall's heating up here in the 3rd. 14-11 Florida.
Every time Caesar or Hall faced seam, but then turned the ball across their body down the line, they've had success. Stanford just hasn't picked up on that. Their right side block is not getting set out far enough to be able to discourage that.
4 in a row for the Gators. Tough to handle for Baird. Kip just short arms it. Couldn't get it across the net. 15-11. So with Monserrat serving, Florida has gone on a tear, and the Cardinal will call for time. Stanford looking to close things out here in 3. Florida with other ideas. They've pushed ahead on a 5-0 run.
Champions aren't instantaneous. Champions are made over time, with years of hard work.
Ignite this run for the Gators.
Well, from a team side-out percentage standpoint, this match has suddenly turned to a lot mushier situation than it was. Neither team is siding out very well. Florida is just slightly better at 50%, but Stanford, they've sided out 5 out of 14 times and for a 35%. So, you know, that's what's going on right now is that neither team's passing very well, and points are coming at a lot faster pace.
And keep in mind the Cardinal were in the 70s in the first 2 sets on side-out percentage, so a steep drop-off there. Monserrat still serving, setting it up.
That's what Stanford needs is the middle attack in the middle of the court, because they've only run their middles behind the setter for some slides, but we haven't seen too many front sets in those gaps. And I think Stanford, well, first of all, they need to pass the ball, but they've passed fairly well. They just haven't terminated very well.
And that last point halts the run for Florida. Now 15-12 Gators. Here's Luget. And that's out on the service error. Point to the Gators.
Good play by Beeson. Excuse me. She was right on it, but then immediately got out of the way as soon as she saw that it was heading out.
Good run here in the 3rd for Thayer Hall. Now she'll serve. 7 kills so far tonight. Minor now working to Baird. Monserrat keeps it in play. Here's McKissick. Working to Beeson. Hammers that off the Ogilvy block attempt, or the dig attempt rather, and it's the point for the Gators.
She had some heat on that one. That thing was hit well and right down the line.
We talked about Abeeson, the freshman, but she joined the team in practice last December, getting invaluable experience while they were in the middle of that extended campaign. Kip is turned back. Caesar right in front.
You're going to see Caesar make a nice move. Good ready position. And she definitely got that. It was a little out of camera, but you could see she was over the net with that outside hand.
You can hear the roof chant from that Florida bench. Yep. 18-12. Baird, a block is there again. So this Gator defense now stepping it up.
Well, the blockers are queuing in really well, and they're executing very well. Dooley was on her way to Stanford's left side hitter before the ball was released by the setter. She was not waiting around to see where Minor was going to set that when she was gone.
Florida back on a roll, 4 in a row. Last 2 on key blocks. This one, a beauty. Cross court from Baird to try and bring some momentum back to the home squad.
That was really well done. That was, again, against 2 blockers that were out there expecting her to get the ball.
Well, after 2 big blocks from Florida, Stanford figuring out a different way. Shu is on to serve. Primary setter during last year's shortened season. And she'll go long.
A little too much on that one.
20-13. The razor-thin margin in the first. Stanford wins going away in the second, and now Florida in control here in the third. And Ellie McKissick, the sophomore, ready to go. Minor, the block. Other side, and Baird is in for the kill.
Forte a little late and a little too high. She was reaching way up in the sky. You watch, they got a nice block on this one, but nice set. Ogilvy came in there and gave her a good hittable ball. Forte just a little high, and she took it underneath her.
And Baird now 15 kills to lead everyone in this one. Looking middle. Campbell trying to keep it alive, but can't. There's the kill there for Forte, again getting up big. And make it 21-14 Florida, inching closer to taking the third.
That was one of those plays where Forte can handle the ball right about at her shoulder height and still get the ball over the net.
Now Minor, back row Kip. That's worked well so far tonight. Florida ready for it. Into the block. The Cardinal defense holds strong.
Heads up play by Baird and Campbell, knowing that Hall was likely to get that back row attack in that type of a play.
It's funny, essentially each side offered their back row attack and both seemed ready.
Well, they're starting to key in now. The excitement from the beginning of this match is over with, and they're starting to now really focus in tactically.
Making adjustments, understanding what each side is looking to do, and there's an error. 22-15 in favor of the Gators.
And again, the error needs to be long. It can't be short. It's got to be make Florida handle it. In fact, many times Florida's made bad passes on balls that they've tried to handle, and they were going out of bounds, but they played them anyway. Good pass.
Here's Minor, the back set, the tip. Hall was ready. Ogilvy, now we'll try birdie. Back to Hall. And Thayer Hall, after a slow start in the first 2, coming up big here in the third.
Well, this is by design. You can see Hall comes inside, a little bit further inside than the sideline. And there's a gap there. The blocker tends to go all the way out to the antenna on a play like that. And so that's a good adjustment by Florida.
Birdie, that's off the block, and the point is there for Stanford.
Seems to be for Stanford, they need to realize that the Florida middle blockers are reaching up and out towards the hitters. And so cross court is available to them. Sometimes they've been trying to take balls in the seam or down the line where they're getting some success cross court.
Last couple of kills for Birdie and Baird, they have been able to go cross court. 23-16. Hall on fire. Thayer Hall taking control and setting up Florida for the set point here in the third.
Well, as accomplished a setter and player as Miner is, she's a freshman. And one of the biggest adjustments to make at this level is blocking. When you're playing at the net, there are a lot of adjustments to make, and there's a lot of keys, and everything happens really fast. So blocking is one of the skills that takes longest to pick up for young, outstanding players.
A block there from Hall, but out of play, and the point to Stanford. So set point number 2 now for the Gators, 24-17, much like the second when Stanford was in control. Big cushion here for the Gators. Miner serving, looking for Dooley. And Dooley, who started off this third with such energy, closes out the third.
That much harder sometimes to play against. But, Beeson's going to be okay. But the rest of this group, they're very confident. They're really used to playing together.
Florida did lose some exceptional talent. Holly Carlton went over to use her last year of eligibility at LSU playing beach. Someone like Paige Hammonds, she transferred actually to the West Coast and the Pac-12 member USC. So some of those athletes moving on after finishing their degrees at Florida. And Stanford, again, you don't really look too much at last season because it was such a short year. They didn't lose Megan McClure. But that 2019 team, that was such a stacked roster for Stanford. And so it's really been kind of an 18-month process or so to gear up with some new athletes, some newcomers. And Florida gets going early on in this fourth. They pull in front 1-0.
Well, we had a little cat and mouse going here with the coaches. Kevin Hambley moved his rotation a couple spots, but so did Mary Wise. She went back to rotation 1. So, that's the whole thing. It's like, well, I'm expecting a fastball, but he might throw me the curve this time. and you're standing there at the plate wondering, well, in this case, the coaches don't know. When they turn in the lineups, they don't know what the other lineup looks like. And so you have to guess, are they going to move back now that, that they expect us to? So it's an interesting cat and mouse game that coaches can play when it gets into this stage in a match.
Here's Baird. McKissick with the dig. Monserrat. Hall putting it across. Now they work back to Baird, and that's off target. And Florida, again, great start. Got out to the hot start in the third, doing it again here in the fourth. 3-0 there in front. And talking about these programs and knowing each other fairly well. This is the 13th meeting between the two. This is, of course, non-conference. They don't see each other all that often. Stanford holding the series advantage 7-5 coming into tonight. Here's Beeson. Ogilvie ready. And now the tip. Rally developing here. Kip off balance, just pushes that one across.
The location wasn't there.
And now back to Beeson, into the block, but the point for Florida.
Well, this is where, again, the time that's spent together, these guys are a little more familiar on the Florida side of the net, whereas at Stanford, you got a freshman setter, you got a little chaos going on, so they're going to have to try to figure it out.
And with that, they will call for time after Florida goes in front 4-0 to start this fourth. Kevin Hambley will take a timeout, and we will take a timeout as well. Gators looking to even things up here in the fourth. That said, I want to get as far away from talking about that as possible, because it's not about me, it's about this team, and most really focused on the results of the squad.
Right, but again, most coaches, when you say, gosh, what a record, the next thing they'll say to you is, all that means is I've gotten older, I'm old. So the thing about Coach Wise is, it's not, to me, it's not the numbers. It's the numbers that I'm thinking of are that 35 years overall, 31 at Florida. It's the consistency of being outstanding, but also it's adapting as the game changes. And that's the thing that's, to me, amazing, because this game has changed a lot since the days that I was coaching women's volleyball. And she's been able to make the changes and do the adapting, and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, 30 straight NCAA tournaments, 8 Final Fours, 24 SEC championships. The list goes on and on. Cardinal get on the board here in the fourth, now trailing 4-1. So now Baird to serve. Working for Beeson. off the block.
Campbell just not with quite good enough position with her hands on that one. That was a ball that really probably should have been blocked.
Merritt Beeson coming in as a freshman and never played opposite before, as you talked about earlier, but happy to take on that challenge for the team. Dooley. Here's Minor now. Birdie off the block. And McKissick will look for Caesar. Caesar loads it up.
Wow, I'm amazed she snuck that one in over the net. It almost looked like she hit it right into the middle of the net.
So rapid fire, but has the height and the power. And a 6-1 lead.
She's an explosive hitter for sure. She gets off the floor in a hurry, and she's got a lightning fast arm.
Back row. Well done. Katie Baird's done a lot of her work around the net, but this time connecting from the back row. And Stanford trying to get on track here, a bit out of sorts, going back to that third. A near collision between McKissick and Caesar. They figure it out, and Caesar cleans it up.
Well, that's the old broken play offense drill. I used to have a drill where I'd stand in the middle back with a bucket of balls and toss balls all over the floor, and the team would have to find a way to side out against their other, blocking defense. And that reminded me of that drill.
Caesar hitting .320, now 12 kills. Minor will go back set and score it for Stanford.
Boy, she used all the court territory that she could on that one. Almost looked from here like it went about 5 feet out, but she caught a piece of the line.
It's McKenna Vicini, the redshirt sophomore. Hasn't seen a ton of time tonight, but her value has been massive off the court for this Stanford team. Kevin Hamley talking about the leadership role she's taken on throughout the pandemic and moving forward. And Forte, you see her flying ability, was able to get a piece of that behind her head, but it results in a point for Stanford as they find the very back corner for a point.
That thing was in the air a long time. You don't see balls blocked like that and still stay in the air. It's almost as if Thayer Hall almost overran that one. She could have been hit with that one and it was still in the court.
Cardinal now trailing by 3. Around the net, and a violation on the Gators.
Well, there's some question as to who netted. They're talking about back row attacker because Montserrat is in the back row right now.
I did see Forte's hand on the net there.
Yeah, I can't. Oh, I wasn't watching the monitor, but
Caesar did look over.
Now we'll get to see. We'll get to watch the
debating
monitor.
if it was her that touched, but on that quick replay, you did see Forte's hand come down on top of the tape. As we'll now have a challenge.
Yeah, there are a few factors here. There's Montserrat, who's a back row player, and the ball was really up there on the top of the net. Yeah, this will give us a good look. The Stanford blockers, as soon as the Stanford blockers touch the ball first, that makes Montserrat an illegal back row attacker because those were the two people that handled the ball, and she's a back row setter. The net violation happened after. If there was any kind of net call, Florida may have challenged that Stanford netted on that play before the back row attack violation occurred.
And a recent change during those reviews where officials are able to identify other faults as they're looking at the replay. But the call is confirmed. Here's Beeson through the block.
Well, they ran Forte away from the setter specifically to open up Beeson on the backside. So they got the middle blocker, Vicini, moving away and opening up that shot.
8-5 advantage for the Gators, looking to make it 2 in a row after taking the third. Minor in trouble. Kip. Overpass, right back. McKissick digs that out. Here's Caesar in close. Creative with the tip. Acrobatic from Vicini to get it across. Back to Caesar. Ogilvy's there. Back row Baird. Off the mark.
Well, there were a lot of interesting contacts during that rally.
Yes, there were.
And the up ref decided to just stay out of it and just let the kids play. And I think that's the right way to do it. Until the clear violation comes up that you have to call.
Service error there from Beeson. Make it 9-6 Gators. Stanford took the first two. Florida took the third. And now in front here in the fourth. Trying to force that fifth.
Time for Lugier to come in here and make an impact, either from a serving standpoint or there we go.
There's impact made, the ace from Lugier.
And that was another one of those balls that was sailing long, but Florida is kind of backing up and trying to handle those. That's what got him into trouble in the first place.
Yep, trying to handle that on the back row. And Lugier converting.
She can give them a few digs back there while she's in the back row. That'll really help this team get back in it.
Fourth ace for the Cardinal. Back row here from Beeson. Minor down to keep it up.
Nice set.
And Baird
too bad.
Just into the net.
Too bad that she couldn't take a swing at that. Pretty hittable ball.
Looked to mistime her jump a little bit. And 10-7 Florida. Here's Caesar. Minor puts that one up high. Baird comes to get it. A collision on the back row. Bodies everywhere. Here's Baird. Beeson now keeps it alive. Setting to Hall. Through the block. Point to Florida. 11-7.
Florida must have come through Las Vegas on their way here, because there are a lot of one-arm bandit digs going on back there.
Minor.
Nobody home.
Gibbs comes to save the day there, as Vicini didn't connect, and Forte finishes it off, hammering it in close.
Well, they got the tip right there, and you give Forte. Still, that ball could have still been set at least 6 inches higher, but she's got some range. You can put it up there anywhere.
Service error from Caesar. We're talking about Forte almost like the high flyers in basketball, where you eventually realize you can put those alley-oops even higher than you think.
Yeah. It's hard to keep telling your setter, yep, higher, higher.
They'll work to Hall. Minor now to Baird. That's off the block, headed our way. What a dig from McKissick, puts it across, and Stanford will play on. Baird now, overpass, out of play, great end-to-end action, excellent hustle, the point to the Cardinal.
Fortunately for McKissick, these tables are separated right here, because she was going to go and face first into one of these tables if she didn't have the room.
Yeah, she would have steamrolled right through one of those tables.
That could have been nasty.
To laugh it off, good hustle. Yeah. Now Hall.
That great smile wouldn't have as many teeth in it if she had hit the table.
I think that was off the knee of McKissick as she slid down to try and keep that one alive. It ends up going across, but the point to Stanford.
Montserrat, front row setter here, and is in a rotation where she can probably find a spot to put the ball away.
Catching Hall off guard. Forte. A missed connection.
Yeah, that was a very tough chance. Way off the net.
And we have to give a shout out to Alex Kleinman, taking gold in Beach, the 2011 Cardinal grad. April Ross teaming up to do the job on the sand in Tokyo. Setter dump, denied.
She gave that one away way too early. You could tell she was going to dump the ball, and especially with a team so keyed in to an offensive setter like that, a setter that is so aggressive. She That was a little bit too easy to figure out.
And Stanford in front, a 6-0 burst here from the Cardinal. They push ahead 13-12.
Gabrielle Essex into the game here.
And so we haven't seen her. The freshman from Hoover, Alabama, has come on. Here's Hall. McKissick. Now the work back row. Beeson. A run for it, and Luge lays out, but won't get there in time. We mentioned Essex coming on, the freshman. She enrolled early. On quickly and off quickly, but getting a little taste of this high-level matchup.
She was in for one rotation because they were struggling getting the ball to Forte, so they got her in there as it was an opportunity to slow the momentum a little bit.
13 all. Baird off the block. Last touch Gators, point to the Cardinal.
That was a strange play because the ball was obviously touched by the block, and Montserrat looked like she could have easily have played that ball, and then she let it go by, I think, thinking that the ball hadn't been touched, I guess. Can't read her mind, but it looked like she was in position to still play that ball.
14-13 Cardinal.
Tough.
6-0 run, battles back and adds some more. An ace for Stanford. And Kendall Kipp.
That's one of those deep floaters that she's been hitting the tape and hitting into the net earlier, but that one stayed live long enough to clear the net, but boy, did the bottom drop out of it.
15-13 Stanford. Long. So she gives one, takes one away.
I'd like to see players hit that jump float from further away from the end line. What they do is they take an approach up and they take off right behind the line. I'd like to see more servers take off further back away from the line and hit the ball high enough to clear the net, but then you've taken away the chances of having it land 6 feet long if you hit it from 6 feet further back.
For Baird.
Setter's out. Nice high ball.
Beeson.
I don't think so. No
Too
touch.
long.
Again, with Montserrat out of the play, you're going to get a high ball to the outside, and that just means the blocking defense has that much more time to get set up.
You were talking service earlier, as now Baird will serve.
Right.
Your preference, you'd rather see them try and go long than try and be too skillful short.
I'd like to see when they're going to hit that hard floater that has some power on it, just like that one. Oh, that's a great save.
Coming our way. Beeson keeps it alive, and
Montserrat made a terrific play on that ball out of the net. But if you serve it high and hard and it's going to float around, just make sure you clear the net. Because most of the time, when you hit it from that much further back, the chances of it going long are way less. And I used to do that with servers that didn't have great accuracy, but if they could hit it high enough and hard enough, then you were going to still create problems because that ball's traveling fast. See, that ball's sailing out. If she hit that ball from 8 feet further back, that same ball, that would have been a very tough ball to pass, and it would have stayed in. So just my preference. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just an old guy who nobody listens to anymore anyway, from a coaching standpoint.
If you're looking to improve or change your serve, Don has some thoughts here. 17-15 on the service error there from Baird. Here's Birdie, turned back, and then tries to get into the scorer's table to keep that one alive. And Florida not going quietly. They're back to within one at 17-16.
Well, this is a rotation for Stanford that's going to be tough. Birdie and Campbell, they have not been putting balls away consistently. They've got Baird available in the back row, so that's a possibility.
Hall.
Minor might dump the ball as well. Not on that pass.
No, she'll go back set instead, and Campbell with the kill.
Well, Holly Campbell has been involved in some big matches. You know, she's been in national championship matches, and she's come through with flying colors. So, you know, in a tight situation, you know, I wouldn't be afraid to go to her if I was Cammie Minor.
And Campbell in her last full season, over 160 kills back in 2019. Beeson, last touch, back row there.
Block slowed that down. It's too bad that Baird couldn't handle it.
So moving right along, 18-17 Stanford. And after a second set and a third set that were pretty well decided, we're now getting back to some of the rhythms of the first, where it's inching close to a competitive ending. Minor, the back set, the kill, Vicini.
Caesar took a chance. Minor was front row, so she had to respect her, and the pass was high and tight. So she took that chance. You watch on the left here, She jumped with the setter, and as long as the setter gives the hitter a decent set, it's nobody home. Now we got Forte back in the front row again.
Minor serving. There's Vicini, 16 kills over the weekend in Philadelphia. Forte up big. Ogilvy ready for it. Birdie now, soft touch.
Setter's out.
It's McKissick to Caesar. She goes long. 2017, Stanford ahead. And Florida will call for time, and that gets the Stanford faithful on their feet, trying to will their team to a 4-set victory over the 5th-ranked team in the country. Timeout called. We'll step aside and return after.
So what you've got is hitting percentages and side-out percentages, plummeting.
Yeah, Baird was up in the 700s early on in this one. Leveled out now to 316. Back row attack for Hall. Here's Minor. Vicini, a little behind her, was able to get that across. And now here's Caesar. Big block, but out of play. The point to Florida. (20-18).
Yeah, we're not seeing too many rallies. I mean, and with past set hit done, everything's crossing the net a few times now. Every fight, every point is a fight.
Here's Beeson. Minor now goes outside. Kipp, that's off the block, and Kendall Kipp back to work. The 9th kill. And make it 21-18. Last time these two got together back in 2019, it was early season like it is this year. It was a sweep for the Cardinal. We're into 4. Florida trying to push it to 5.
Monserrat back to the front row. So a lot of options available here for Florida.
Here's Monserrat.
That's a pretty good one right there.
Yeah, that'll work.
Take that first option. Actually, it's the second option. The first one is Monserrat handling it herself. But if you send it up there, you watch and see the height that she makes contact right there. Still didn't have full extension.
See that block trying to close in, but
it's still going over anyway if they close that hole.
Caesar serving. Minor to Baird. Last touch Florida as Caesar diving in that back row to try and keep it alive.
I think eventually Beeson will learn to come off that sideline and make the play like that to try to take a little bit of the pressure off the middle back to have to dig all those balls that are in the gap between the two of them.
22-19 Stanford. They go back to the middle, and Forte delivers once more. The Cal transfer, familiar ground here in NorCal, and comes up with a couple of big kills here.
Yeah, she's hitting 412. Forte is one of the few high hitting percentages out there right now.
And that's long from Birdie Hendrickson. Stanford can sense it now, 23-20.
Can't get ahead of yourselves here. Front row setter. Couple of hitters.
Here's Kendall Kipp.
Dooley, low priority, but she might get it here.
They go outside.
That's a great touch. They need to convert on this one if they want to make sure they get this point taken care of.
Baird is turned back. Dooley.
Solid block.
Fired up front. Make it 23-21. Here's Monserrat.
Kipp still in there in the back row after she serves. Back row option.
23-21. Ogilvy will try and get things back on track. Kipp puts it across. Here's Monserrat. Outside to Hall. Cross court. That works for Florida. Back to a 1-point difference, 23-22. And we'll get a timeout called by Stanford. And you can see what a calming presence the setter, Marlee Monserrat, is. The youngest sibling often. They have seen what the older ones go through. Not that she necessarily come to Florida, but just had experienced what it was to play college volleyball and had some advantages that maybe you don't if you're the first one through.
Well, she's not just the calming influence, but she's kind of the one who kind of feels the vibe, you know, of the team and does what needs to be done. You know, in this case, she's been firing people up. You know, she's been getting them pumped up.
And you see it right there.
Yeah.
Big energy, big smile.
Let's see what kind of big serve she comes up with here with Stanford in rotation 4. And Kip still a possible back row attack.
Trying to force a fifth. 23-22 Stanford. Minor, the back set. The tip falls in. The perfect touch from Holly Campbell.
Well, sometimes in a timeout, that specific attack gets called by the coach. If you get a good enough pass and you hit that slide, I want you to tip line. And that might have been something that was called in the timeout.
And now Baird to serve. Match point. Number 20, Stanford, looking for a statement win early on over number 5, Florida. We're here in the 4th. Here's Baird. McKissick. They go outside. Beeson turned back. Gators keep it alive. Back to Beeson. That's in.
That's a big swing for the freshman. That first one, she looked a little tentative, but even though she got a less than ideal set on the second one, she still took an aggressive swing and went sharp cross court.
Match point number 2. Thayer Hall to serve. On their feet in Maples. Here's Minor. The set. Birdie. Off the block. Pancake keeps it alive. Minor back set. Off the block. That'll do it. Stanford takes it in 4. And Holly Campbell, after missing all of last year with injury, comes back to close things out here in the 4th. A 3-1 win for the Cardinal. And yes, it's just the early season, but this is a big moment for a young Stanford team.
Oh, yeah. Well, this team is going to get, you know, it's one thing just playing together.